We see President Trump along with First Lady Melania Trump exiting as the inauguration ceremony concludes inside the Capitol Rotunda. We see former President Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden right there behind the new couple, the new president, the new First Lady. Joining me to continue our coverage is my colleague Andrew Kraft, and we have been witnessing history in the making, Andrew, as Donald J. Trump, now the 47th President of the United States, the second time in history that a president has a second term that's non-consecutive. And we were seeing as well the political dynamic in play in real time inside this condensed area. I'd love to hear your thoughts as we continue to see everyone standing as we are now awaiting the departure ceremony for former President Biden and former Vice President Harris.
Yes, Stephanie, good to be with you. Good to be with everyone watching. Well, that is how we do it here in the United States. The peaceful transition of power, that is what we all have just watched, all have just observed here. And the political dynamics in play were palpable. Yes, this is a historic moment. And we should talk about some of the news that was made in the speech that President Trump now delivered. It lasted 30 minutes on the dot. His first inaugural was 17 minutes, so going a little longer. And this was a victory lap for President Trump there, delivering his remarks in a stinging rhetorical rebuke to the previous administration, seated just behind him in President Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris. And I just have to note that there, because the tension on their faces, at times, some of the smirking that was going on by former President Biden and former Vice President Harris was so obvious, having to listen to now acknowledge that. But some news was made, like I said, Stephanie, in that speech. This was somewhat of a campaign rally speech dressed up as an inaugural address. You heard there, if you watched the campaign last year and so many of his rally speeches, that he said what he was going to do. He said those campaign promises will become reality, and 2 national emergencies were declared, one there on the southern border, also one having to do with our energy independence as well. So it's not every day that in an inaugural address the president declares 2, let alone 1, national disaster emergencies. He said he's shutting down the southern border completely. He's designating the Mexican drug cartels, he said, as foreign terror organizations. So this was a speech replete with news for those of us who cover the news. And I just thought it was really, really interesting. He started this off by saying the scales of justice will be rebalanced. He brought that up multiple times, an allusion to the lawfare that has been waged against him in the form of these 4 criminal indictments he faced in 4 separate jurisdictions. He noted there the alleged weaponization of the Department